faith, and fear. Doubt's a procrastination state. Doubt keeps me in procrastination. I could and I couldn't. I did but I don't. I'm not sure if I can but I can't. I could but I should. I did once but I'm not sure if I can keep it. This is the brain that keeps saying, that in a set of self-talk, it keeps doing the same thing over and over, treading water. And actually you can get good enough at treading water at a higher level. You can just be overwhelmed with more money. I'm going to tell you this again. It's going to come down to this. The more you understand your brain state. If you want to study something, begin to study neuroscience. Because neuroscience will give you an understanding of what happens in the addicted brain, what happens in the relaxed brain. So if your neck goes out of place every day, just like mine did for about 6 years. Mine happened after I got clean and sober. My neck never subluxated when I was drinking, because I was in such an inebriated state. I didn't grind my teeth when I was drinking and using drugs. I started grinding my teeth when I got clean and sober. It was like the paradoxical contradiction. I spent 6 years going to a chiropractor. I became addicted to the chiropractor, specifically that adjustment that the chiropractor gives you. The challenge with it was I could not hold an adjustment because of the control I was still in, left over from the events that created the addiction. So it took me about 6 years, and I didn't get resolved by the chiropractor. The chiropractor gave me an instant fix, which was good. I learned a lot about the skeletal body, but when I started reading Louise Hay, my life changed. Now, I had her book in 1988, the second year I was sober. I didn't really understand it. She lives in Carlsbad. You know that? She is in her 80s now. You can still see her speak. Alexis Romano and C.G. Siddons, a couple of my clients, are going to see her speak in Austin. But she wrote a book called You Can Heal Your Life. Have you read it?
Yes.
Is it a good book? She wrote another book called You Can Heal Your Body. Another great book. It breaks down cause and effect neurologically of why do I do what I do. So Daryl, I can give you a recipe and a blueprint, but if you don't understand what goes on neurologically, you'll do the same thing over and over to fulfill the feeling, trying to outrun your low self-esteem. That's what happens. Make sense? The more you understand cause, that creates effect. If you want to resolve the situation with your neck, it's not going to come from a chiropractor. It's going to come from you learning how to let go, and then developing a system in your own emotional body so you're not in fight or flight. So when you're in fight or flight, it keeps you in doubt. You can't be in an optimum performance in any kind of doubt, can you? Well, you can't make decisions here because you're more concerned with making a mistake than you are creating a favorable outcome. That's what doubt does. Because in doubt, and have you ever heard anyone say, I worry all the time? I coach a New Jersey high school teacher. He's a very interesting person. He makes about $65,000 a year as a teacher. He started a network marketing company about 3 years ago as a product consumer. And he's one of those guys who just landed in that business in the right place at the right time. And he's not really skilled in that business, but his sister is. And his sister assisted him to build a business. He's now making more part-time in his business than he does as a teacher, but he can't quit. Because he worries that he'll lose the money that's getting created. He worries about worry. And these are the words that come out of his mouth. I worry all the time. He's creating more passively, doing very little, than he is as a teacher, but he can't quit because he might lose the money that he's making. It's classic, isn't it? So I mean, he worries about worry. Do you know anyone like that?
Yes.
How many of you like that?
Recovery.
What was that like?
It's infectious. Right?
How?
It holds you down.
How?
Especially me, the one I feel responsible for taking care of everybody and people. So at dinner now, I've got the person that needs to be taken care of.
So you married you've got the
Yeah.
passive aggressive personality in your household. So you can. So then if you're really good, you overcompensate it,
Right.
right? You think you're really good, right?
Right.
You're proud of yourself for overcompensating the passive-aggressive personality that you've now
It's
attracted.
hopeless.
It is. And then you have a story, well, I'll get a divorce when the kids are grown 31 years later.
Did that.
Right?
Exactly.
You notice that we have stories, don't we?
Yes.
What stories are you letting go of, Carolyn?
One story that I'm letting go of, Jeff, is my house that I've had for 10 years.
Chicago house.
Yeah, I mean, I put 20% down on it.
As a teacher, that's good, isn't it?
I saved the money, put 20% down on it. I've been there for 10 years. I just put a brand new tear-off roof and air conditioner, $10,000 2 years ago, cash. And I want to move to California. So instead of saying I can't move, I don't know if I can find a renter, I can't refinance, I've decided I'm going to let the house go and just move on with my life instead of sitting in that place.
You're recovering from what?
From teaching for 13 years.
What else?
Recovering from the passive-aggressive parent, the worry-wart mother, processing.
Are they all in Chicago?
Tell me what happened to you just recently. You went for a family meal.
So,
From New York.
hi, my name is Carolyn Wilson. I'm from the Chicago area. Thanks for having me up here. My father is the passive-aggressive person in my family, so he's like the doer, always does things for me, helps me with my house, come over, shovel the snow, take care of everything. But then
Snow bread, remember that?
then the next moment, it's, hey, Dad, will you take a look at this refinance? Why would you go with this company? Why would you do this? And when was the last time you put your 401k? And it was just like, so it puts me into that state. So it's like he does these really nice things, and then all of a sudden he's yelling at me because I asked him a question. Like, I should know that narcissistic thing. So his birthday, my grandfather's birthday come up, we go out to Olive Garden, I'm there for 20 minutes. He doesn't like the conversation I'm having with my mom and my brother's fiance. All of a sudden his voice starts to raise, in a minute, somebody's gonna, he's like, so I threw money down on the table and I said, you're not treating me this way anymore? I'm out of here. It's your birthday gift. So finally,
It was new. It's new.
well, Jeff, this is because I would just be quiet or stay away from him. And I watched him treat my mom like that. I watched him treat treat a lot of people like that. He does a lot of really good things for me, but I can't handle it anymore when he acts like that for no reason. I didn't do anything wrong. I just asked.
Now, that kind of relationship, what kind of communication style did that create in you that assisted you to overcome?
I process, overcoming the processing. A lot of times when I get into a situation, I'm afraid to give the wrong answer, or I'm getting over that. So I don't speak. It'll take me, it's like I feel all these emotions. If I feel like I'm put in a position where I might not be correct, or a stern voice is coming at me, I can feel all these emotions and I can't put what I'm feeling into words, and I can't speak, where I literally
She was like this.
I'll just stand there. But what I've learned to do is recognize, I'm in that situation now, or I can walk away, take some deep breaths, and come back and say, okay, now I can talk about it. So it's like I'm moving forward in that, and I'm learning, when I'm in that situation, what to do. And then he's also teaching me how to ask questions. So put that person who is firing questions at you, turn it around and ask them a question. So you put them in a position where they have to explain, and you don't.
Without them knowing it.
Right.
Instead of you defending yourself, you turn it into a question, neutralizes that person, it flips the whole, it's called a U-turn. It's an emotional U-turn. It's a very key skill. Martin?
Yes.
I imagine that's harder to do as a woman in our society than as a man.
See if you can take this word out of your vocabulary. You know why? You want to know why? Because if it shows up in your vocabulary, here's what happens. Hardaholic. See if you can use this word more frequently. If what I'm doing is hard, what am I reinforcing? No, if it's hard, what am I reinforcing?
Procrastinate.
Difficulty, young man.
I was just acknowledging.
Okay, hold on to your validate. Just see if I can even follow. Just see, let me finish. You don't have to defend yourself. I'm attempting to teach a lesson. If you really want to be successful, do your best to not be so sensitive. Do your best. Do your best to receive from someone who's really a master, attempting to give you insight on the cause and effect of why I do what I do. This word shows up a lot. Daryl, see if you can commit to go a day without using this. A day, one day at a time. Turn it into a week, a month, a year. Because here's why it's important. Words are law. Man and woman, this is a direct quote from Florence Scovel Shinn, who's one of my favorite authors. Man and woman constantly make laws with their words. So we make our laws with our words. Make sense? I'd go to the concert, but I probably won't be able to find a parking spot. All right? So what have I done before I started?
You've already determined the outcome.
Set yourself up for disappointment.
Do this for the rest of this day before you go to bed. Check old words at door. Take a look at some of the words that you use. Also, the rest of the day, be attentive to other people's words. I'm going to go to the airport this afternoon. That'll be a great place to listen to the American populace. Watch how the American populace overreacts. Watch how they overreact specifically to CNN. Constantly negative news.
Yeah, not news.
Watch how the American populace reacts to problem, reaction, solution. A lot of the populace is glued into this, aren't they? Now this is interesting. In California, we do not talk about the weather. Our expectation with the weather is what?
It's always nice.
Pardon?
The sunshine.
Right. So we that live in California, the weather is not a congregational point for us to talk negatively. I travel the United States, and I used to travel the world. So outside of California, a large percent of the population speaks, they congregate about how bad the weather is. So when I'm leaving a city in January, October, November, December, January, February, and into March, it's very common for my clients to talk about, oh, you're just getting out before the big storm. So like they're preparing for this bad situation before it's going to happen. Isn't that interesting? When you start to consider it, and we don't operate that way. Why?
I was just going to bring up how so many people are, and I try to stay away from these people, so I write the worst too. It's not a conversation about the weather, it's complaining.
Yes, that's it.
Negativity, it's gossip, it's negative.
So the right, but see, this is a really good point. See, there's more to the weather.
Yes.
The weather brings people together who can commiserate about something negative.
And these reality shows are set up for people that are addicted to that.
The Kardashians are a very interesting story.
That's worse than watching.
Bruce Jenner is a very interesting human being.
Yes.
He's laughing to the bank at that.
I don't know, but it's just interesting. You know, I met Bruce Jenner when I was a freshman in high school. He was a high jumper at a very small Latter-day Saint college in Iowa, a college called Graceland, that probably none of you ever heard of, in a little town called Lamoni, Iowa. He's from Connecticut, and he got a full scholarship to high jump. And in 1971, he high jumped 7 feet. He then parlayed his high jumping into being a decathlete. He won a track meet called the Drake Relays. He went on to win the NCAA, even though he didn't play in Division I, he won the NCAA decathlon. He made the 72 Olympic team, then he won the decathlon in 76, and what the fuck is he doing there in Denver with the Kardashians? That had to have taken his whole life to the next level of whatever it is, isn't it?
He's a drama.
And now he just got his throat done. Do you know what that means?
Yes.
What?
He's been living in another body. He's been living another diet.
Well, he's supposed theoretically a cross-dresser,
Right.
and he's preparing himself for sex change.
He's living a different life.
It's not the rumor. These are the inside situations that I know in the world that I coach a lot of people inside that world. So, I mean, hey, if that's his situation, but that, just the drama that he has had to live in, right? How many of you grew up in a lot of drama? Any of you recovering drama addicts? How many still carry some drama? More than you'd like to maybe even admit? And you want to let go of that? So take a look at 2014. Today is what date? March. March 8th. You know, very soon it's going to be April 1st. Why is that important? Why is that? Why is April 1st important?
The end of the first quarter.
Second quarter of the year.
Right, exactly. So a large percent of the people that say they're entrepreneurs, what have they done or what have you done in the first quarter of this year? I mean, this is important, isn't it?
Yes.
Why is it important?
It's gonna lay the tracks for what your setup is for the year.
If you're already procrastinating, at some point you have to do what?
More work.
Be AIC.
Simple, subtle changes. Now, how's that different than it's hard? Notice my word choices. Now, the detox and cleanse I gave you is a very simple one. And it's going to be very non-painful, non-evasive. It's not going to be something that you're going to have to starve yourself. It's only about 15 hours. And you're not going to lose any production time either if you do this. So anyone that coaches with me, what I want to teach is this simple, subtle change. But if it's difficult, if you live at a different level of difficult, and you keep edifying how difficult the situation is, your left brain will do what it's supposed to do. It will resolve the problem by having you procrastinate.
And it also brings it into reality.
Right.
Is challenging a word you can use?
Challenging, you can definitely use challenging. This is challenging, but you can overcome the challenge.
Yeah.
Right.
It's you can. You want to start to use words that edify whatever it is you're moving into. You want to also eliminate the word failure. I'm really scared I'm going to. Repetition and experience is how you overcome anxiety.
How about I was good at overcoming obstacles?
It's good, but you want to be good at it. Well, it depends on your perspective. I don't want to attract obstacles. I will address them as I have them.
Okay, yes.
Here's one that I would use that I thought was good. It would be talk myself out of a problem. I could talk myself out of problems. I could talk myself, maybe I'd get pulled over, and I'd talk myself out of a ticket. I would want. But why? I don't require a ticket. I don't require that kind of behavior anymore. I don't require a new ticket.
Jeff, a question.
I understand that there's 4 different
Do
personality
you have a
types.
question?
Yeah, so Jeffrey, I have a question, sorry, I didn't think. There are 4 different personality types.
Do you have a question or a story?
Like what? I have a question.
Then ask it.
So Jeffrey, within the 4 different personality types, how does that affect each other? Because this might not pertain to some people.
Ask the question without telling the story. This is what you can break him of.
Or you're probably break me in it too.
You better be breaking each other.
How?
Hold on, let me teach you something. Hold on. A question is 5 to 15 words ahead of the question mark. It's important you master this because the average person's attention span is 28 to 31 seconds. First, you can hold someone's attention for maybe 90 seconds. Got it? What's your question?
So how do the 4 different personality types
So you're
overcome?
processing. So you're processing. So
Yes,
your
I
eyes
am.
are. So in your eyes, there's oranges, lemons, and cherries going on.
Yes.
I'm watching.
So how does the procrastination affect the 4 different personalities?
All right. So here's the 2 people that tend to procrastinate. I'll show you the 3 personalities that tend to procrastinate the most in order. How's that sound?
Yes.
All right. So you have to. And in the book, there's 6 different procrastinator types. So these are quadrants for people. But I could also do this 4 times because there's 16 personality types. Do you know who the father of personalities is?
John.
He popularized it. Carl Jung, J-U-N-J, which is German. That's my German name, is Jung. And my name was changed. My grandfather became from Germany that staked out the land. That was his name, J-U-N-G. And then the American version of it is Y-O-U-N-G. So Carl Jung began to popularize the personality types in the 1920s. Then Myers-Briggs came along, and they created a type indicator test. And then a mother and daughter called Kiersey Bates also have written a lot of personality books. And then there's the most popular personality book that Amway uses called Personality Plus by a woman named Florence Littauer, Littauer. But the father of personality types was Socrates. Socrates came up with the names of them: phlegmatic, sanguine, and choleric. And then there's one other one, I don't recall the other one. And Florence Littauer uses these. So there is in the personalities, there is an amiable relator. That is the largest percent of society. The amiable relator. Somewhere around 50 to about 55% of society has personality tendencies that fall into this category, and they tend to give, serve, please. They're usually good employees. They're great people to have at an event. They're organizers, and they're about 55% of society. Now they will procrastinate they'll do more for others than they'll do for themselves. So how would procrastination show up there? They also tend to be codependent. That's their addiction typically. These are generalities, so keep this in perspective, because what we want to do in this room is we don't want to be one, we want to be here. We want to be grounded so we can be skilled in all of these. The reason this is important is so you understand this, how predictable people are. The more you understand predictability, the more equipped you are to be able to understand cause and effect. So someone walks up to you and says, like the woman did to me, "I can't believe how skinny you are." She's putting me in a position that I have to do what? Defend self, right? She's putting me in a position that I'm going to... But if I understand why she's doing that, I can just neutralize it and go, "Thank you," and move on. Use 2 words and move on. So this is 55% of society. Then there is an A-type personality. That is a much smaller percent of society. This person is highly prone to addictions. This person is typically a top producer in most organizations, but they're also oftentimes top sabotagers. So sometimes they are big, they have big hat, no cattle. They tend to talk big, not always produce big. But they have a tendency to produce more than the other personality types. They typically are CEOs, athletes, military professionals, situations like this.
Wall Street brokers.
Pardon?
Wall Street brokers.
Can be, right? Wall Street brokers also can come out of another personality type. Then there's the analytical personality, the analytical type. This is the smallest percent of society. This person tends to procrastinate the most of all the personality types because their field of expertise is much narrower.
So are those like the accountants?
Yeah, but they're the most intelligent sectors of society. Engineers, situations like that. They usually have a pen in their pocket or glasses in their pocket. They're the most intelligent people in society. I'm one of these. I'm an analytical person. They see things linear. They are also good designers, builders, things like this. They can see they can see an outcome, but oftentimes they get stuck in perfection. These 2 personalities tend to procrastinate. This personality tends not to procrastinate. This personality tends to be all or nothing. But this personality means black and white, my way, highway. This is the most controlling of the personality types. These 2 right here are very controlling. It doesn't mean they control other people. It means they're in their own control, in their head a lot. So then there's the life of the party. This is your musician. This is the type of person who's very artistic. They tend to be more right brain, and they tend to wing it in life. They're very unsystemized. The most systemized personalities are the analytical person and the A-type personality. Now, I tend to be both these. In the last several years, I've started to be more of this. I used to have none of this, and I was all or nothing. You starting to understand more about procrastination?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
Carolyn, do you know why you procrastinate? Are you starting to have a better understanding?
Yeah, Jeffery, I am.
Okay, so also ask yourself this. Would success contradict my struggle? Here's another question I ask people. If you succeed, who will you show up? Another question that many people are afraid to succeed because it might upset a loved one. What are you receiving from me today, Carolyn?
Jeffery, thanks for asking. I'm receiving that.
I'll tell you this, I know you deserve to break through this year.
I
You
know
have,
how to
right?
break
Because
this year.
how many of you have done this? Suffered enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
Done.
How many of you are done with the drama this year?
Yes.
How many are ready to let go of controlling control, being out of control while you're in your control? Exhausted controlling your control.
Ready.
What are you receiving today, Monica?
Let go, under control,
And what is it you're controlling?
controlling to not fail.
What does that mean? Controlling, not failing.
It means I stop myself from getting started because I have to figure out,
Not sure you can control it.
yeah, how to.
So what you can control is your procrastination.
Jeffery, is this like creating vulnerability? Is that a part of it?
Yes, let's break that down. Vulnerability.
Let's let it go, yeah.
Vulnerability has more than one meaning. I'm feeling very vulnerable right now. What does that mean?
Right.
Whatever it means. What does that mean? I'm afraid to be vulnerable. What does that mean?
Afraid to open up.
I'm very vulnerable. I'm a very vulnerable personality. I'm being vulnerable with you right now.
Afraid of getting hurt.
Oh, but, pardon?
Open.
Well, this is where it's a paradox,
Right.
isn't it? This is it has a mixed meaning, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Inviting you to be a victim.
Right, but for those of us who, let's just use the term spiritual, meaning we are seeking more, we're looking for enlightenment, we're looking for multiple streams of income, we're bringing our goodness to free enterprise. There's people we want to share our wealth with. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
So we tend to seek more, don't we? We're a smaller percent of society, and what do many people do when they see us doing this?
They shut down.
Criticize.
Right, why?
Later.
Because
They
it's
don't
not
understand.
understanding.
How
Makes them feel they're not doing it.
dare you step out of the herd?
Yeah.
Right? How dare you step out of the herd?
I just have one example. I left Germany 7 years ago, and a relative of mine.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A relative of mine said to say goodbye. Wasn't Germany any good anymore? So that's exactly right.
Okay, now that was guilt used to put her in a position she would have to what?
Defend herself.
Defend herself. So here's what you learn to do with that type of personality. Why do you ask? So when you do that, who has to respond? Why do you ask?
To invite them to California.
So I get criticized for living in Stockton, California. Seriously, I get criticized frequently, specifically from LA people.
Why? Yeah, probably a nice place.
It is. And most of the, you ever notice that many of the people are actresses in LA? They live in a room because they can't afford an apartment,
Right.
and they rent a storage locker.
And they wait till
Drive a
this.
lease or something.
But they have a
Can't pay.
SAG car.
They drive a
And
lease.
you ever notice that many people in Los Angeles, they have this syndrome they live in, MMO? You know what that is? They go out 7 nights a week because they might miss out. They got to go out and what do they have to do?
Opportunity.
Look
Be
good.
what?
Look good.
See.
See.
Yeah.
Right. You notice a lot of people don't own property anymore? or never did? Why is that?
Can't afford it.
They're
Or they
rogue.
can't hold on to their properties?
Are they
Why is
rogue?
that?
They don't have the discipline to.
Right, because they don't have money,
Yeah.
skills, and they don't have emotional skills, right?
No discipline.
And no discipline. So now your dialogue with money, and I'll cover some of this afternoon, is a direct reflection of dialogue with self. But if your dialogue with self is not conducive, it's not, and we don't make money. Right, you attract the opportunities to create in it. I have several clients who have mastered the internet in the last 2 and 5 years, specifically social media, list builders that know how to create lists and then know how to create value. One of the gentlemen, some of you may recognize, he was in your organization at one time, is a 29-year-old young man named Arthur Tubman, Tubman. Arthur is from Staten Island, New York. He was in Nouveau Riche. He absolutely failed in Nouveau Riche, where he found his entrepreneurial niche. You want to be able to get rich in a niche. That's a Mark Victor Hansen term. Rich in a niche. He found his stride on the internet, and last year he made $2 million online at 29 years old. Now, how much is that a day? $6,000. How much is that a month? $166,000. Could you live on that? Is it yep or yes?
Yes.
You can live on that?
Absolutely.
How much money do you require monthly to live a good life? You have to start to assess this, right? In fact, you live in a metropolitan city, right? How much money will allow you to live a good life in the metropolitan city you live in? How much would it be, Mom?
I want to live off of 50,000.
Good. Now that was a big, you caught yourself, didn't you? You were going to settle, right? Is that or yes?
Yes.
Now, Monica, what will happen when you're wealthy? How will your mom handle it?
Probably won't be good enough.
What? Is it funny?
You could tell her.
Is it funny?
It's not funny.
What, and why do we laugh when it's not funny? Why do we do that? Right, to address the pain, right? So, what are you going to do about that?
Let go.
Why? It might contradict her. She might not love you. See if you say these 2 words. Oh, well. What does that mean?
You have to take care of yourself.
There's no attachment.
That's right. You're only responsible to yourself
Right.
and for how you feel. Nobody else is, or to them.
Yes.
You have to let other people, everyone else is entitled to what?
Their own opinions.
Right, but that doesn't mean you have to feel rejected by their opinions. If you take it personally, then what happens?
You want to see it.
Right, then you own it. So that means we also must learn to do this. Separate self from past events. What does that mean?
Let it go, forget about it.
Live in the present.
When we start to forgive, right?
Yeah.
We forgive, and also not give so much power to people and events. What does that mean?
So what next?
What does that mean?
We don't let those control how we feel.
Right.
Take responsibility for yourself and your own actions. And your own
That's it.
attitude.
I had the privilege of September 2012. My parents invited themselves to dinner with me. I was in Des Moines, Iowa speaking, so my mother did the noble thing. She thought she'd go visit her son, her lost son. So they show up at the hotel where I'm staying. My father's already looking at his watch.
Can I go now?
Yes, that's exactly what he was doing already. So I get in their van, and it is a cluster F, their van. Now
Inside the.
within 2 minutes, my father says, Judy, that's my mom's name, hand Jeff the pictures. So my mom reaches up over the seat, hands me about 200 pictures of my father. First 2 minutes in the car. And my father starts explaining all these pictures. I haven't seen him in 5 years. And those little pink mints that come in the bag, those chalky things, are in my seat. I'm sitting on them. My mom is a knitter, and no, she's a quilter. She's got quilts on my floorboard, right? So you already understand these. We go to dinner, in a neat area of West Des Moines. It's all antique stores.
Yeah.
No, we don't go to dinner yet. We go there because I want to go there because there's some cool antique stores. My father chooses to stay in the van so he can listen to the Cardinals play the Cubs. He's in his terms, diehard Cardinal fan. So his son that he hasn't seen in 5 years, in the first half hour, my mother and I are now walking up and down the street, and my father is still listening to the game. This is exactly what my life is like with him. Then we go to dinner, and I'm buying at a place called Morton's. It's a good steakhouse, isn't it?
Yes.
You'll invest about 300 bucks with no alcohol, right? So here's my father in the first 5 minutes. God damn, it's dark in here. Words out of his mouth. Jesus Christ, it's expensive. I'm paying. Get it?
Yep.
God, the service sucks.
Nice dinner.
It was. Would you like some mac, Dad? I don't eat that shit.
Just saying.
So what does that tell you?
Nothing to.
He needs to take your course.
No, he wouldn't.
I know.
Nothing's changed.
What does that tell you, though?
What's predictable and.
But I've learned not to take any of this personally.
Right. He just lives in negativity.
But he's a contradiction. But he's a great coach.
Has nothing to do with it.
Exactly, but it has everything to do with why both of his sons became alcoholics. Because no matter what we did, it was never good enough. My brother still lives in that world. My brother is 5 years younger than me, so he's 52. He lives where my mommy can be his mommy. So if he ever gets in any kind of liability debt, my mommy and daddy, who are millionaires, bail him out. He married a compulsive spender, so that my parents are consistently bailing him out. Then my father's chewing him out. Then they're in conflict. You see, that's, and I am a jerk for moving away.
Come add to the drama.
I can't believe you never come visit us. Believe it. You understand why?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So they still have great quality. My parents have good qualities too. They're very skilled real estate people. My father had a lot of game, so I choose to look at the situations I got from them, but I also have boundaries with them. Are you starting to establish some boundaries? Specifically with the people who violate you?
Yes.
And you have to learn not to take it personal, right? You have a better understanding of that? What would you like me to cover this afternoon?
Yeah. It seems like you almost have to dissect their personality and react to parts you want to.
Respond is a good word, right? It's good. Right, in the line of work you're in, if you're doing real estate, you encounter multiple personalities or network marketing, and you're going to have people who enter your life and they set you up to fail them. You know that? They set you up to disappoint them. And the more you can spot these people, the less time you'll spend with them. You notice this?
Well, I've been in other sales as well as real estate, and I've learned a lot of that intuitively without putting a label or
Good term.
structure around it. A lot of mirror and matching.
See, your personality, you're very balanced in the middle.
No,
I can tell you've done effort in it, but you're like this. So most of society, they live in that one personality. We, as souls that are becoming enlightened, we tend to live more in here, right?
Yes.
Because as business owners, we have to. We have to live here. Either that, if we don't,
We die.
well, if you don't, you just don't make it. Because you have to be able to understand why someone says to you, why do you live in Stockton? So I learned to say, where should I live so I have your permission? Oceanside. Oceanside would be awesome.
So Jeffrey, before we head to lunch, would you please give us a few questions, the U-turn questions? So that was one.
In sales, here was one that I like confrontation. So I like, now this doesn't mean you, but when someone was saying, where'd you get my name? My standard response is bathroom wall to Texaco station.
Yeah.
they still have those.
Does that break the ice, or does that really upset people?
That was a DM. That's a donut moment. And it was for the people who were aggressive. Like, where'd you get my name?
Okay.
Not the person, where'd you get my name? The person that said that off a lead list of people at one point requested information about starting a business from home. Is that correct? See, that's ending with a question. I will cover some of this afternoon. questions, because questions is really my niche. Because in any kind of communication or conversation, you want to be able to negotiate to a favorable outcome. Would you agree?
Yes.
Even yes is not always the outcome you'll get. But just like that guy who was really hostile with me, he apologized at the end of his hostility. To me, that was a favorable outcome.
See, favorable doesn't necessarily have to mean you win.
That's
Everybody.
my point. I wasn't looking to win. I didn't want to be right. I wanted him to go away. So that would be the favorable outcome I was seeking. Oftentimes when someone's threatening us, we threaten them. Then here's what we have. Two fools arguing. So you want to be able to negotiate to a favorable outcome. Walking away sometimes is favorable, isn't it?
Yes.
Wouldn't you walk away and make a colossal mistake? Especially when it takes you to bankruptcy? And when you're in real estate, it's a whole different level of risk and reward than it is other situations. You can't afford to make a colossal blunder. You gotta neutralize your losses and not get in completely over your head. One of the worst things that I saw in Nouveau Riche was people that didn't know their ass from third base. They're running out and they're getting a property because they have to get a property. I'm a real estate investor, so I'd see people go out and they do dumb things, they get in completely over their head, and then their whole career's shot. That's a one and done situation. That's a one-time real estate investor and they are gone. I'm a very long-term, deliberate type of real estate person. I like to buy and hold. I don't do what you guys do, but I buy properties and I rehab my own properties and I turn them into castles. And I can see the outcome before I start, and I'm really skilled at my own real estate team of people I do business with over and over and over, people I can trust, people I can count on, people like that. So I will cover the questions, how to ask questions that lead to the outcome. But before your lunch, just remember this again. See if you can start to get a question down to 5 to 15 words that end with a question mark. 5 to 15 words that end with a question mark. Also see if you can learn to get a point across in 30 seconds or less. There's a great book by a real small little book written in the 60s by a great writer named Milos, M-I-L-O-S, Foreman, and the book is How to Get Your Point Across in 30 Seconds or Less. It is a great book. And also factor that, start to pay attention to commercials, even though you say, well, I don't watch TV. You don't have to watch TV to watch a commercial. Watch billboards. Watch any place you see an advertisement. Watch what the message is underneath the message. Because the message is always this, in any kind of commercial advertising, to persuade. So that's why you learn to ask questions. Would it be possible? So what am I doing with this?
You're opening their mind and.
Well, I'm setting the outcome. I'm setting up the outcome. In any type of selling experience, it's not the close, it's the set.
You can't say no.
Well, if you learn how to set, then you can set up the close.
Close in the beginning.
Exactly. Not only do you close at the beginning, right, but you close early and often by the way you ask the questions. But people who are not skilled at this, they have so much anxiety about the phone, but they never even get to the human being because of all the noise that goes on in their head. They have this story that inhibits and hinders them from ever learning how to ask the questions. And then if we can become very skilled also at how we market, how we write, and how we ask, then we start to have this, QBs, qualified buyers. When you have qualified buyers that you attract, you create, then you have this, a much higher law of average. Which then puts you in the driver's seat. It means that you're going to win more than you lose. Every one of you see me speak the other night, Thursday night?
Yes.
So I'm not going to cover this again. I already covered it for you. For those of you who seek to coach with me, that's my niche. My coaching is 5 one-hour sessions. It's all done over the telephone, 1 hour every 2 weeks. Would you recommend me, Denise? Absolutely, Jeffery. And Simon, you and I are we'll meet. It's our time, baby. It's our time, right? Carolyn, would you recommend me?
Absolutely.
No crying in baseball, is there?
No crying.
No crying in my coaching, is there? only a little bit.
Stop it right away.
So I've coached 9,000 clients, 90, so that equates to about almost 90,000 hours of coaching. Where am I going to, let's see, next week I'll be in Temecula with a small group. The next week I'll be in Delaware with, this is a very unique crowd, Delaware with about 200 people that are under 25.
Awesome.
And that's a movement called YPR. Someone know what that means?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Young Person's Revolution.
Yeah, Young People Revolution. There's a network marketing company called Vima. Any of you heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah, the number one income earner is 24 years old. His name's Alex Morton. He just came off the Arizona State campus 3 years ago. So his culture is primarily YPR, Young People Revolution. We just did his sales funnel. He hired my team to produce his sales funnel. Right now, when I left Wednesday, he had 176 qualified leads that had gone through his sales funnel in a short period of time. So that means that they filled out a survey, answered 5 questions and left their phone number off a lead capture page after watching a series of videos for a free funded proposal. It's good, right?
What does he sell?
He sells the dream. That's what he's really good. He's in network marketing, he sells the dream. The company sells an energy drink that's primarily mixed with vodka.
Good for young people.
It is. It's an energy drink that's similar to Red Bull, only it's a little healthier. And it's a direct sales network marketing company that does about, he is responsible for taking that company from 10 million a month to 30 million a month. That's the value of one what?
Producer.
One producer who has 4 C's. Character, class, charm, and charisma. Someone who has the 4 C's. Someone,
Center of influence.
yeah, you definitely want someone like that in your team, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, don't you want people giving you referrals?
Absolutely.
Yeah, referrals, what's it cost you for a referral?
Nothing.
Actually, it does.
Oh,
Good relationship.
yes,
Yeah.
rapport.
A referral is going to come from value and service. That's where you're going to get a referral from. Your referrals are going to come from people that you've served, and they've been a good client to you, and they see the value in you, and you value the relationship, and they refer you. That is the absolute best kind of lead you can get, because a referral has a much higher law of average of what?
Being
It's
successful.
buying from you without the effort. I mean, hey,
So
Shirley recommended you and I want to hire you. Hey, Tom said you were a great coach. Hey, I hear you're a great real estate investor. I'm looking for a property. And I've got a budget of about $500,000. Isn't that the American
Due
dream?
diligence is done.
Right, isn't that the dream?
Yeah.
Someone that shows up and it's called an LDS, not a Latter-day Saint. Lay down sales.
Could be
You get some people supposed to be-
Let's BFL. Let's break for lunch.
Yes.
It's a